Tonight, you're going to begin the journey from servant to friend to Son of God. You're going to prove you can faithfully occupy a state until it becomes real. And as you do, you'll learn how to commune with the deep of yourself, face to face, like talking to a trusted friend. And when that happens, bringing your desires into reality becomes as natural as breathing. That's what Neville teaches in his lecture, Feed My Sheep. And I have to tell you, when I first heard this lecture, I almost missed the whole point, because the title sounds so religious, so biblical, so removed from everyday life. Feed my sheep. What does that even mean? But then Neville explains it. But before I discuss Neville's explanation, if you want to jump ahead to the actual meditation session, use the timestamp of this video. But this session will make so much more sense if you stayed with me for this discussion. He says it means to shepherd the thoughts of your mind, to rule them, to gather them together like a shepherd gathers wandering sheep. And suddenly it becomes incredibly practical, because most of us, our thoughts are like rambling sheep with no shepherd. We think about what we want, then we think about why we can't have it. We imagine ourselves successful, then we look at our bank account and give up. We see ourselves loved, then we remember we're alone, and we stop. Our thoughts wander everywhere with no direction, no discipline, no rulership. And Neville says, you are called upon now to rule the thoughts, to rule the mind. That's what it means to feed the sheep. But here's what makes this lecture so profound. Neville doesn't just tell you to discipline your thoughts. He shows you the stages of spiritual development, the progression from not knowing who you are to fully recognizing yourself as God. And it starts with being a servant. Now, before you resist that word, let me explain what Neville means. He quotes from Isaiah, I formed you from the womb to be my servant and to bring Jacob again unto me. You were formed from the womb to be a servant, and the servant's job is very specific, to bring Jacob, to bring Israel. Now, who is Jacob? Who is Israel? Neville says Israel means is real. And he says, I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. Israel is scattered in all the nations of the world, but not on earth, not one grain on earth, which means you will never find your desires out there in the physical world. You will only find them in consciousness, in your mind. When you know what you want clearly in your mind's eye, you are looking at Israel. You are seeing something that is real. It's real in consciousness, even though it's not yet visible in your world. And your job as the servant is to bring it, to bring Jacob to the Lord. And who is the Lord? Neville says, when you say, I am, that is the Lord. So you're bringing your invisible wish to your own consciousness and making it real there first. You're clothing it with reality. Now here's where the Jacob and Esau story comes in, and this is beautiful. Neville says Jacob is the smooth-skinned lad. He's invisible, subjective, something you can't touch with your physical hands. That's your wish in its pure form, just an idea, just a mental image. But Esau has hair, which means something external, something you can see and touch. And in the story, Jacob clothed himself in the skins of Esau to deceive his father into believing he was Esau. He made the invisible appear to be the visible. And Neville says that's exactly what you must do. You take Jacob, your invisible wish, and you clothe it in the skins of Esau. You give it sensory vividness. You make it feel external, not by making it actually external, but by adding all the tones of reality to it in your imagination. You hear what you would hear if it were true. You touch what you would touch if it were true. You see what you would see if it were true, until your own consciousness is deceived into believing it's already external. That's what it means to bring Jacob to the Lord. And Neville says this is how you prove you're a servant. You take an invisible state and you faithfully occupy it until it takes on the tones of reality. Now here's what most people do wrong. They see their desire clearly. They found Israel, but they don't bring him. They think of their desire instead of thinking from their desire. Neville says this is the secret. You must occupy the state. Get into it. Don't stand outside looking at it. If you want a job for a friend, don't just picture them having a job. Occupy the feeling of them telling you about their job. Hear their voice. Feel their hand in yours as you congratulate them. Be in the moment when it's already done. That's thinking from it. That's occupying it. That's clothing Jacob in the skins of Esau. And when you do this faithfully, when you remain in that occupied state, Neville says the vision will make for itself a perfect body in which to abide. It will materialize, not because you made it happen, but because you occupied the state. And whatever state you occupy must express itself. Now, Neville tells the story of the talents. You know this parable. A man going into a far country gives his servants talents according to their ability. One gets 5, one gets 2, one gets 1. The ones who received 5 and 2 traded and doubled them. They were commended and told they would now rule over many things. But the one who received 1 was afraid. He thought his master was a hard man, so he buried his talent in the earth, and it was taken from him. Neville says you have received talents in the form of these teachings. Some of you came with more prejudice to overcome, more superstition, more conflicting beliefs. So some got 1 talent, some 2, some 5. But here's what matters. A talent that is not exercised atrophies. It goes to sleep. It might as well not exist. And a little talent, if you actually expand it, if you exercise it, will be far more profitable than many talents you never use. So Neville is saying, test this, prove it, don't bury your talent out of fear. Take one invisible wish and make it real. Start small if you need to. A hat, an apartment, something you lost. Just prove to yourself that you can find Israel in your mind and bring him into reality by faithfully occupying that state. Because if you don't test it, you're not a servant yet. You're just someone who heard a nice teaching. But when you test it and prove it works, everything changes. You become a servant. And Neville says, when you prove you're a faithful servant, when you show you can reliably occupy states and bring them into manifestation, you will no longer be called servant. You will be called friend. And what does that mean? It means you will commune with the deep of yourself as a man communes with a friend face to face, not seeing God as some external being in the sky, but communing with the deep of your own consciousness, knowing that when you assume a state, it must manifest, knowing that your imagination is the only reality, knowing that you and the Father are one. That's the friendship. It's you consciously cooperating with your own divine nature instead of being a victim of circumstances. It's you moving from passive to active, from hoping things work out to knowing you can call them into being. And Neville says, after you've been a friend for a while, after you've walked in that conscious communion with your own depth, the last seal will be broken, and you will be revealed as the Son. You'll look into the face of the Father and see he looks exactly like you, because you are him. You were always him. You were just asleep, believing yourself to be a man born of man. But through the process of servant, then friend, then son, you awaken, you remember, you recognize yourself. Now, Neville makes something very clear in this lecture. He says you cannot skip stages. You cannot become the friend without first proving yourself as the servant. You cannot recognize yourself as the Son without first walking as the friend. There's a progression, and it starts tonight with you taking one invisible wish and proving you can bring it into reality. Neville gives very practical advice. He says, take a request, take a friend in need. Maybe they need a job, maybe they need health, maybe they need something specific, and in your mind's eye, represent them to yourself as though they now embody what you want for them. Take your imaginary hand and put it in their imaginary hand. Hear them tell you they've never been happier. See the look on their face that proves it's already done, and remain faithful to that vision until it takes on the tones of reality. Don't prescribe anything for them. Don't tell them what to do. Just occupy the state of them already having what you desire for them. And watch what happens. Because if you can do this for someone else, you prove you understand the law. You prove you're a servant. and then you can do it for yourself, for anything you want. And Neville says something that really struck me. He says, if you are afraid to try it, then I wouldn't know what to tell you. Because in this place, you must test it. This isn't a religion where you just sit and believe. This is about awakening the mind and making yourself a ruler, a shepherd of your own thoughts, someone who can command any idea to clothe itself in form. That's what it means to be King of Israel, not a man ruling over a physical nation, but consciousness ruling over the kingdom of ideas, able to take any invisible state and make it visible, any wish and make it real. That's the power you're claiming tonight, but you claim it by testing it, by proving it, by taking one talent and expanding it. So tonight, in the meditation, we're going to do exactly that. We're going to find Israel scattered in your mind. We're going to identify one clear wish, and we're going to clothe it in the skins of Esau. We're going to add sensory vividness to it. We're going to occupy the state, and we're going to remain faithful to it, not hoping it works, knowing it works, because you're going to experience what it feels like to actually be in that state, to think from it instead of it. And when you do, you'll understand why Neville says that when you detach from a state, even if it had external reality, it fades, because the reality was never external. The reality was always in your assumption, in your occupation of the state. The external was just the shadow, and shadows always follow the light, and the light is consciousness. Your consciousness dwelling in the state. So take a moment now to settle wherever you are. Let your body find its comfort. You might close your eyes if you haven't already, and just breathe. We're about to begin the journey from servant to friend to son. And it starts with proving you can faithfully occupy one state, just one. Let's begin. Gently now, bring your awareness to your breath, not changing it, just noticing it. The natural rise and fall, the rhythm that's been with you your whole life. And as you breathe, let your body begin to relax. Let it become heavier with each exhale, sinking into the surface beneath you, your shoulders dropping, your jaw softening, any tension in your hands or your feet just letting it go. Every breath takes you deeper. Every exhale releases more, and your body knows how to do this. It's been preparing all day for this moment, all week, maybe your whole life. Now as you sink deeper, I want you to think about what you want, not everything, just one thing, one clear desire. Maybe it's for yourself, maybe it's for someone you love, but be specific. What is it? A job, health, a relationship, a specific situation whatever it is, see it clearly in your mind's eye Because when you see it clearly, you're looking at Israel. You're seeing something that is real. It's scattered in the nations of your mind, but not one grain has fallen to the earth. You will not find it out there. You will only find it here in consciousness. And Neville says, I formed you from the womb to be my servant and to bring Jacob again unto me. So right now, you're finding Jacob. You're finding that smooth-skinned lad, that invisible wish. And your job is to bring him, to clothe him in reality, to make him so real in your imagination that your own consciousness accepts it as already done. So let your body sink even deeper now, so relaxed, so at peace, your eyelids so heavy they're impossible to open, your arms and legs like lead, and you're moving into that beautiful, drowsy state. That state akin to sleep, not quite awake, not quite asleep, right there in between, where imagination becomes more real than the world around you. And from this deep place, I want you to do something. I want you to occupy your desire, not think about it. Occupy it. Get into it. Neville says the secret is to think from it, to occupy that state and get into it. So right now, assume your desire is already fulfilled. Not going to be fulfilled, already fulfilled. You're not moving toward it. You're in it. And here's how you know you're in it. You clothe it with sensory vividness. You give it the tones of reality. So what would you hear if your desire were already true? Maybe it's someone's voice congratulating you. Maybe it's your own voice saying something you'd only say if this were real. Maybe it's a sound that belongs to the fulfilled state. Listen for it now. Hear it as though you're actually hearing it, not in the future. Right now, let that sound confirm you're there. And as you hear it, Neville says, take your imaginary hand and put it into their imaginary hand. So if there's someone involved in this fulfilled state, reach out in your imagination, touch them, feel their hand in yours, feel the texture, the warmth, the reality of it. Or if it's an object you now have, touch it, feel what it would feel like in your hands. Make it tangible, make it real, because you're clothing Jacob in the skins of Esau. You're making the invisible appear to be the visible. And now, what would you see if this were already true? Not looking at it from outside, but seeing the world from inside this fulfilled state. If you're in your wish fulfilled, what do you see around you? What does the world look like from here? See it now. Let it be natural. Let it be simple. Just a moment in time when your desire is already real and you're there, you're in it, you're living it, breathing slowly, sinking deeper. And as you occupy this state, listen to these words from Neville's lecture. When I get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remain faithful to that state, then I am walking in my vision, walking in your vision, not having a vision and hoping it comes true, but actually walking in it, occupying it, being in it right now. And Neville says, leave it in that imagined state until it takes on the tones of reality. So stay here. Don't rush. Don't force. Just rest in this occupied state. Feel yourself in it. Hear the sounds. Touch the textures. See the world from here. And let it become so natural, so comfortable, that you forget you're imagining it. It just is. Your body is so heavy now, so completely relaxed, your mind so still, and you're dwelling in your wish fulfilled, not as something you're creating, but as something you're experiencing. Right now, Neville says, represent him to yourself as though he now embodied the state you want him to realize in this world. So if your desire involves someone else, see them now as already embodying what you want for them. See the look on their face that proves it's real. Hear them tell you about it. Feel the joy, the relief, the satisfaction that comes from them having it. And if your desire is for yourself, occupy it fully. Be the person who already has this. Think the thoughts they would think. Feel the feelings they would feel. Move through your imagination as they would move, because you're not becoming them. You are them. Right now, in this state, you are the fulfilled version. And as you rest here, let me read you more from the lecture. When I remain faithful to my vision, the vision will make for itself that perfect body in which to abide. Then you will see an objective corresponding fact, but it is not there. It is all within your own mind. It's all within your own mind. The reality is here, in your occupation of this state. The external will come, but it's just the shadow. The substance is here, in your assumption, in your faithfulness to this vision. So remain faithful now. Keep dwelling here. Keep feeling it real. Keep hearing and touching and seeing from within this state. Not trying to make it happen. Just being in it and breathing so slowly, so deeply, so peacefully. Your entire body surrendered to this state. Your entire mind absorbed in this reality, and you're not forcing anything. You're simply occupying You're simply being. You're simply dwelling in the wish fulfilled. Now Neville says something profound in the lecture. He says, you take that thing you have seen in the mind's eye, which to make it practical, we will think of as a friend in need. So whether this is for yourself or for someone you love, you're proving something right now. You're proving you can find Israel and bring him. You're proving you can take an invisible state and clothe it with reality. You're proving you're a faithful servant. And Neville says when you prove this, you will no longer be called servant. You will be called friend. But for now, just rest in this proof. Rest in this occupied state and let it become more and more natural, more and more real, until there's no difference between imagination and reality, until they're one. Let yourself sink even deeper now, deeper than you've been all night. Your body melting into the surface beneath you, your mind drifting into that place between wake and sleep. And in this deep, deep place, let me guide you with a simple scene, a scene that implies your desire is already fulfilled. Maybe someone is congratulating you. Maybe you're looking at something you now have. Maybe you're simply in a moment that could only exist if this were already real. Whatever scene comes to you, let it be short, let it be simple, and then repeat it. Experience it again, not with effort, just gently looping back to it, like a lullaby, like waves on a shore. Each time you experience it, you're treading on holy ground. You're occupying the state. You're clothing Jacob in the skins of Esau. You're proving you're a servant. And as you do this, listen to more words from Neville. If you remain faithful to your vision by occupying your vision, don't just see it. He demands that I bring Jacob again unto the Lord. Bring Jacob again unto the Lord. And the Lord is your own I am. So you're bringing this invisible wish to your own consciousness and making it real there by occupying it, by living in it, by being in it right now. And you're doing it. You're faithfully dwelling here. You're not wavering. You're not doubting. You're just being in the state. And that's all you need to do. Just be here. Be in it. Be the wish fulfilled. Now let me count you down even deeper. From 10 to 1. And with each number, you'll sink further into this state, further into this occupation, further into this reality. 10, letting go completely. 9, sinking down into the wish fulfilled. 8, your body dissolving. 7, nothing but consciousness now. 6, pure awareness dwelling in the state. 5, halfway home. 4, deeper still, occupying fully. 3, almost completely there. 2, merging with the wish. 1. You are the wish fulfilled. And here, in this deep place, everything is quiet. Everything is still. Everything is done. You're not waiting for anything. You're not hoping for anything. You have it. You are it. It's done. Neville says, you simply walk faithful to your image of the friend, and you transform that image in your own mind's eye. So walk faithful now. Stay in this state. Don't detach from it. Don't go back to wondering how or when. Just stay here in the occupied state, in the fulfilled wish, in the reality you're dwelling in right now. And as you rest here, know that you're proving something. You're proving you can be a faithful servant. You're taking the talent you were given and expanding it. You're not burying it out of fear. You're using it. You're exercising it. And Neville says, when you do this, when you prove you're faithful in a few things, you will be made ruler over many. You will move from servant to friend, from friend to son. But it starts here with you faithfully occupying one state, just one, and you're doing it right now. So rest in this occupation, rest in this state, rest in this knowing. You don't have to do anything else. You don't have to make it happen. You just have to stay here, dwell here, be here. And from the lecture, one more passage. Let me remain faithful to my vision by occupying my vision. Don't just see it. He demands that I bring him. You're bringing him now. You're bringing Jacob to the Lord. You're bringing your invisible wish into the reality of your own consciousness. And when you do this faithfully, it will clothe itself in external facts, not because the external is the reality, but because the external always follows the internal. The shadow always follows the light, and the light is here, in your consciousness, in your occupation of this state. So breathe it in. Let it fill you completely. Let it be the only reality, and as you drift toward sleep, stay in this state. Keep occupying it. Keep being in it. And tomorrow, when you wake, you might find yourself back at the Jordan, back at the evidence, back at the facts. But you'll know what to do. You'll occupy the state again. You'll clothe Jacob again. You'll be faithful to your vision again. Because you're learning to be a shepherd of your thoughts. You're learning to rule your mind. You're learning to command ideas to clothe themselves in form. And that's the journey from servant to friend to son. It's the journey from not knowing who you are to fully recognizing yourself as God. And it starts with this, with you proving you can faithfully occupy one state, and you've done it tonight. So rest now, beloved. Rest in the state. Rest in the occupation. Rest in the wish fulfilled. You are the servant who found Israel. You are the servant who clothed Jacob in reality. You are the servant who brought him to the Lord. And tomorrow you'll do it again and again and again until it becomes as natural as breathing. Until you move from servant to friend. Until you recognize yourself as the Son. But for tonight, just rest. Rest in what you've occupied. Rest in what you've proven. Rest in what you are, the wish fulfilled, the state occupied, the servant who proved faithful. Sleep now. Sleep in this state. Sleep knowing it's done. And when you wake, you'll still be here. Because once you occupy a state faithfully, it never leaves you. It becomes you, and you become it. Rest, beloved. Rest in the state. Rest in the knowing. Rest in the fulfilled wish. You are in it. You are it. It is done.
Most of us, our thoughts are like rambling sheep that have no shepherd. We are called upon now to rule the thoughts, to rule the mind. As you know, the kingdom of heaven is as a man starting into a far country, and he calls unto himself his servants, and gives them his property, his goods. To one he gives 5 talents, to another he gives 2, and to another he gives 1. Every man according to his several ability. And when he returned, he asked for a reckoning. The one who had 5 traded and produced another 5. He was highly commended, and told as he was faithful, over a few things he would now be ruler over many. The one who had 2, he too traded and produced 4, and he too was highly commended and told to enter into the joy of the Lord. But the one who had 1 was afraid, because his master, so he thought, was a hard man, and so he buried his talent in the earth and did not expand it. But I think you know the story. He was condemned for his misuse of the talent. It was taken from him and given to the one who had the most, the one who had 10. Well, now you have received talents in the last few days or few weeks, each one according to his ability. Some of us came with more prejudice to overcome, with more superstition, some with other beliefs that did not quite coincide with what we heard from the platform. And many of us had to overcome certain things before we could accept others. So some got 1 talent, some 2, some 5, some maybe more. Now, a talent that is not exercised, like a muscle that is not exercised, finally sleeps. And as far as we are concerned, it atrophies. It doesn't really die, but it goes so sound asleep, it might just as well not be part of ours. We must practice what we have heard. For without practice, the most profound understanding in the world will not produce the desired results. So, a little talent, call it a talent now, if you really expand it, if you exercise it, will be far more profitable than many talents that you do not exercise. This morning, we will just take 1 or 2 of the talents that we offer you. I can't force them upon you. We offer you. Here is a statement from the book of Amos. I will sift the house of Israel among all nations, like as corn is sifted in a sieve, yet shall not the least grain fall upon the earth. I will sift him and scatter him all over the nations of the world, but not the least grain shall fall upon the earth. Do you know who Israel is, who this Jacob is? The Israel means Israel. You can't find it on the earth, don't look for it on the earth, and yet you must find him. For formed him in the womb to be my servant and to bring Jacob, which is Israel, again unto me. Isaiah 49:5. So you and I were formed from the womb to be the servant and to bring Jacob unto the Lord. He is scattered all over the world, but you will not find him, no, not the smallest grain upon the earth. But you will find him within yourself, for the cue is given in Jacob. Jacob is the smooth-skinned lad. He is not like his brother Esau, who has hair, which means something external. So the Israel you're looking for this day is the thing you want to realize in the world. Do not look out and hope to find it, or even to be encouraged that you will find it by judging after the appearances of things. Do you seek health for a friend? That's Israel scattered, but not on earth. In all the nations of the world I have scattered the house of Israel, but do not look into the eyes of a doctor for hope. Do not look into the eyes of the patient for hope of his recovery, because you will not find him on earth. Not the least grain has fallen upon the earth. So do you know what you want in this world? If you know exactly what you want, where do you see it? You see it in the mind of yourself. So when you know what you want, here is a part of Israel scattered. And you didn't see him on earth. You saw him in the kingdom within you, for the kingdom of God is within. So you saw a piece of Israel, now go bring him. I formed you from the womb to be my servant and to bring Jacob again unto me. You take that thing you have seen in the mind's eye, which to make it practical, we will think of as a friend in need. It may be physical need, maybe he is unwell, or it could be he needs a job. Well, now you be the one who will decide what part of Israel you will bring to the Lord, and prove to the Lord you are a perfect servant. For the promise is that when you prove you are the perfect servant, then you will no longer be called servant. He will call you his friend. I no longer call you servant, for now I call you friend, for you do whatsoever I command you. And therefore, if you do what I command you, you are no longer my servant, you are my friend. And now we will commune as a man to a friend, face to face. Another you has had this association for a while, for that is the purpose of it, to move from the servant to the friend. And after we become the friend of God for a while, then we turn to that of the Son. We no longer are the friend, we become his son, but we cannot recognize the sonship of God until we first prove ourselves as a servant. So the servant is to bring Israel, i.e., imagine lovingly and believe in your imaginal activity. Now we come back to the friend in need. Represent him to yourself as though he now embodied the state you want him to realize in this world. If it is a job, see him gainfully employed. Take your imaginary hand, which is Jacob's hand, and put it into his imaginary hand. Leave it in that imagined state until it takes on the tones of reality. When it seems to you real that you are actually touching him, clothe it with all the reality of the external world. So Jacob clothed himself in the skins of Esau to deceive his father into believing that he, Jacob, was Esau. So you take the Jacob within you, which is the smooth-skinned lad, which is simply now the wish. You want to congratulate him. You want to hear his voice. You want to hear him tell you he has never been so happy in a job in his life. He's never been so gainfully employed that he loves going to work. He just loves everything about his job. You actually hear him as though you heard him. Now you clothe it with all the tones of reality. If you have 2 talents, give it 2. If you have 5, give it 5. Begin to make it more and more real. The day will come, maybe this day, you will so clothe your Israel with the skins of Esau that you can actually bring it as an objective fact to your father and prove you are a servant. For he formed you from the womb to actually be his servant. And what is the servant to do? To bring Jacob unto me again. So here Jacob is scattered, lost in all the minds of men. You won't find him on the earth. You will only find him if you know where to look. Now, to prove you know where to look, to prove you are a good servant, go bring me Jacob. So when you bring Jacob clothed in your own mind's eye, as though you heard what you want to hear, as though you touched and you witnessed what you would like to touch and see in this world. And when you remain faithful to your vision, the vision will make for itself that perfect body in which to abide. Then you will see an objective, corresponding fact, but it is not there. It is all within your own mind. It is there where he scattered it. It is there where he sustains it. He will simply project it for you onto the screen of space, that you may have tangible evidence that you do know how to find and bring Jacob. If I know how to go searching for my Israel, if I know how to go looking for him and how to clothe him and give him the appearance of reality, and I don't do it, then I am not the good servant who took the 5 talents and expanded them. I am the one who buried it. Now some of us are almost afraid to test it because we are comforted if we can believe this without quite putting it to the test. For if we put it to the test and we fail, then we have no faith. We cannot go back to the former comfort that we enjoyed, say, in a more orthodox meeting. We thought we would find it here, and if I don't test it and prove it to my own satisfaction, then I have neither the old comfort of the orthodox concept nor the comfort that I enjoyed here, for I disproved it. So I invite you to attempt, if you will, to disprove it. You can't disprove it. But if you go out knowing where to look for your Israel, knowing why you are fashioned from the womb to be a servant, that is the first stage. Until you test yourself, until you prove you can do it, you are not a servant of the Lord. But as you become a servant of the Lord, he will make you his friend. Then the relationship will be on a higher level. You will commune with your father as a man does with a friend, face to face. You will not see him as an object in space, but you will actually know how to bring about a wished-for state of mind. Bring it about at will. As you can bring about a wished-for state of mind, you have made of the deep, which is your father, a friend, and you will actually know that companionship between the deep of self and you, the being that is really a wonderful imagination. Then the day will come, having been a wonderful friend of God, the seal will be broken and you will be revealed as the being you really are, which is the Son of God and the Father. Every person in the world is the child of God, believing itself to be a man, born of man. I have tried in the past 2 weeks to convince you that your origin is God. It is not what the world would tell you, a little bug. For if you were a little bug, a little spermatozoa, though you seem to embody yourself and expand in the form of a man, your end will be a little spermatozoa, for all ends run true to origins. So whatever the origin, you can determine the end. I tell you, your origin is God, therefore your end is God. But to arrive at that end, you pass through the stages of the servant, then the friend, then God, which is the Son of God. For I and my Father are one, yet my Father is greater than I. Yes, I do not claim that this union, this oneness, entitles me to the same identical feeling of being Father. I and my Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. For the thing symbolized that bears witness of this unseen state is not really as great as that which it symbolizes. So we are one, and I will know it, and I will see my Father and see that he and I look alike, yet we are father and son relationship. But before I can get near it, I must prove I am a good servant. Now, you take it this morning. We invite you to try it for a friend. We ask you to try it for yourself. We have given you many angles how to test it, how to think of what you want first and see in your mind's eye, Israel. For when I know clearly in my mind's eye what I want, I am actually looking at Israel, something that is real. It is real, but I must clothe it now in what the world calls reality by giving it external tones. But the thing was real long before it became a visible fact in the world. I see it in my mind's eye by making as vivid and as lifelike a representation as possible of what I would see and what I would do and what I would actually hear, were I physically present in such a situation now. When I see it clearly, I am looking into the eyes of Israel, and I found him scattered in the world, but not on the earth, for it is not on earth that I see him. I see him in my mind. Now I am looking at it and thinking of it, but the secret is to think from it, to occupy that state and get into it. When I get into it, I will clothe it with reality. I can think of a place and then close my eyes and assume that I am in that place. When I assume I am in the place, I am clothing it with what the world calls reality. It was real before I clothed it. When I saw it clearly, this was Israel. But he wants me to bring him, and the only way I can test that I can bring him and prove that I am the servant is to occupy the state. So I occupy the feeling of my wish fulfilled. When I get into the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remain faithful to that state, then I am walking in my vision, and, as we are told, if one would only advance confidently in the direction of his dream and endeavor to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with a success unexpected. Let me remain faithful to my vision by occupying my vision. Don't just see it. He demands that I bring Jacob again unto the Lord. So Jacob is not a man who walked the face of the earth thousands of years ago, and Israel is not a nation now gathered together on the shores of Africa. He scatters the house of Israel in all the nations of the world. You might have been taught to believe that the person who calls himself a Jew in the presence of a nation is scattered Israel. Don't believe it. Everyone in the world is that which actually contains and holds Israel. As you think of something and desire it to be a reality in your world, you are seeing Israel. Now he wants you to bring him, and he wants you to prove that you can bring him and become the perfect servant of the Lord. Don't be afraid to be the servant. Become the perfect servant of God, and then become his friend, and then realize you are his son. Let us go out determined that we will take the requests brought in here this morning. There were 100 odd that came in, but there are many more. Maybe you do not know them. You can take them collectively. But you can take an individual friend, a member of your family, and decide this day you are going to bring about some blessing in the individuals. You have it. You have the power to bless. For the power to confer reality on your wish for the friend is the power to bless that friend. If your friend is not well, and you want the friend to be well, you simply assume that you and he or she are carrying on a conversation from a premise which you establish now, and the premise is that he or she never felt better in their lives, and you hear it and you witness it. Take your hand, your imaginary hand, and embrace them. Tell them what you feel about them, actually feel it, and then you do nothing outwardly to make it so, for things that you are going to see are not made of things that do appear. So you do not prescribe anything for them. You do not change their physical diet. You don't offer any recommendation as to what they should do. You simply assume that they are already the embodiment of the state you desire for them. So you don't start prescribing. Leave that out completely. You simply walk faithful to your image of the friend, and you transform that image in your own mind's eye. You do it and see if you can bring him, because if you can't do that and prove it to yourself, you have not yet proven you are a servant. Therefore, the friendship is far removed from you. Everyone must prove that he is first a servant, as we read in Isaiah 49. I formed you from the womb to be my servant, and to bring Jacob again unto me. Then I am told, even though Israel is not altogether gathered, I am blessed. The individual who does it, he doesn't have to bring the whole body of Israel. If he brings Jacob, one individual transformed, and proves he can transform him, he is blessed and receives a certain glory long before the body of Israel is collected and brought back. So here you wonder why he is called the King of Israel. Why is he called the king? People thought it meant a man who looked out upon a small little nation and thought he was king, or they thought he was king, or even in irony when they said it. He isn't that. The individual who becomes son is truly king of the whole vast world of Israel, or of the ideas floating in the mind of man, for he is their shepherd, he is their king. He can command any idea to clothe itself in form. That is the King of Israel. That is the one that can make real a state that is only a wish. Israel is the true Israel. Here, long before we become that, lifted up, we must start to discipline the mind to become the perfect servant. There is no better time to start than now. If you are afraid to try it, then I wouldn't know what to tell you, because in this place you must test it. They do not have a religion where you just come here and sit on Sundays and gather together and form a nice little friendship this way. This is not that kind of a religion at all. This is all to awaken the mind of man and make him a shepherd, make him something that rules. In fact, the very word translated feed in John 21 is translated many times in the Bible as shepherd, as rule. In Matthew 2, one shall come from Bethlehem, he shall have dominion over Israel. Well, in that one, he shall rule Israel, the word translated rule is the same word translated in John 21 as feed. So don't take it literally. It simply means to take this mind of yours and discipline the whole mind by gathering things together and walking faithful to an invisible state. For Jacob is invisible. You thought he was a man who was a smooth-skinned lad. That is the way the mystic has of telling you this is a subjective state and that you must learn to clothe it with objectivity. You walk faithful to the subjective state, and then in time it takes on the tones and the appearance of something external. The moment you detach your mind from that state, though at the moment of detachment it had some corresponding external witness, it will begin to fade. If you detach your mind from success in the midst of success, success as a reality outside of you fades and vanishes from your world. And then whatever you put your mind on, it takes the place of proving success was not on the outside at all. It was within you. You clothed it for a moment and gave it the appearance of reality. But the day you are not faithful to the consciousness of being successful, the seeming solid reality of success vanishes from your world, proving itself to be the shadow it always was. And the reality, the light of success, was the idea in you with which you were identified. So if I assume that I am Malmarpu, and I name it, and I remain faithful to it, it comes out and makes itself seemingly real. If I cease to assume it and sustain it, it slowly vanishes from my world. And if it vanishes, I might think the reality was there. I have forgotten how to bring Jacob. I have forgotten how to bring him to the Lord. So here let us remember where Israel is. It's not in the Near East. Israel is scattered in all the nations of the world. In your mind, that is where he is. And now you have a purpose in this world, and if you really love the teaching, as the words are, lovest thou me, you say you are faithful. Peter, do you love me? He doesn't call him Peter, by the way. He calls him Simon. He never calls him Peter in any parts of the Bible. He is referred to as Peter, but whenever he is addressed by the central figure of the Gospels, he always calls him Simon, and Simon means to hear. It means to listen. Well, have you heard? Have you really heard, Simon? Yes. Then do you love what you have heard? Lovest thou me, or what I have told you that I am? I am the thing that I teach, so do you love me? Then feed my sheep. Become ruler of this mind of yours, and prove you really love the thing you tell me you have heard. If you have heard it, then you are Simon. And if you have really heard it to the point of acceptance, prove you have accepted it by taking the talent received and expand it. Don't let the shepherd come, and when he asks you for the talent, you say you were afraid and you buried it. Let us not be afraid to actually test the truth of the principles we try to explain here. So all these are our truths that we have accepted. Now some got 1, some 2, some got 5. We have done our best in the past 2 weeks to give you all that we could within 2 weeks, unfolded from the Bible. We showed you the Bible as a mystery, that all your members are buried, not in one little book, but in all the books. They are all telling you the story about yourself, how God became you, that you may become God, how God died to become man, in the sense of forgetting that he was God, as he awoke as man. Man, walking the earth, has no knowledge he is God, and the individual who dares to claim that he is and tells you that you are, is usually condemned by those who appoint themselves as teachers. That is the blind leading the blind, and they will call you arrogant if you dare to even demonstrate the power of the mind. And they will tell you that's not right. You are taking back from God the thing that belonged to God. You see, they are sound asleep. They don't realize that God became man for one purpose, that he may have the companionship of sons as gods. So man must awaken and realize who he really is, and he realizes that by starting first as a servant. I have given you, I think, a perfect technique to prove that you are a servant. Try it today. If you succeed in the simplest little way of taking an invisible state and making it become a reality, like the job for a friend, or even the getting of a hat, or even the finding of the proper apartment, or even the getting of some little thing, you try it. If you lost something, nothing is lost in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord. For if it isn't lost, it is scattered now in Israel. Prove that it isn't lost. What is it that you have lost? Well, take it in your own mind's eye, and then mentally touch it and mentally appropriate it and feel that you have it, that it is yours now, and remain faithful to that assumption and see if the thing returns. If the thing is recovered, you have proved that you have found Israel, a portion of him anyway, and you know how to take him and clothe him in such tones of reality that you can bring him to the Lord, for the Lord is your own wonderful consciousness. When you say, I am, that is the Lord. Go tell them I am hath sent you. So when you walk in the feeling, I am so and so, it is not seen as yet, but that is something you are bringing to the Lord. And the more you feel it to be real, the more natural it becomes. Then it clothes itself in external facts. But the external fact is not the truth of it. Truth and fact oppose each other. Truth does not depend upon fact. Truth depends upon the intensity of your imagination. Therefore, if I actually am intense about it, that is true. I might tomorrow find a corresponding fact to bear witness. But, as I said earlier, let me not continue in that assumption, and the fact will fade, proving it was not reality at all. Reality was in my assumption, and so truth depends not upon fact, but upon the intensity of imagination. Then you will understand the drama when truth faces what is called fact or reason, and when asked what is the truth, truth remains silent. He would not answer because fact or reason thinks that a true judgment must conform to the external reality to which it relates. If I say, "Aren't these lovely?" and I mention something that no one present can see, you say my judgment isn't true. For if it isn't on something on the outside, then what I say has no reality. I must be suffering from some illusion. If I persist in it and you cannot see it, then it is hallucination. But I know from experience that I can take an illusion, and through the medium of an illusion I can relate myself to reality, or is real, by walking faithful to what you call my illusion. I simply assume a state knowing I have found it. It is scattered in the nations of the world, and finding it in myself as a desirable state, I appropriate it. Walking faithful to my appropriated state, I gradually become it. Disentangling myself from that state, eventually, I cease to be it. For that which requires a state of consciousness to embody itself cannot be embodied without such a state of consciousness. When I know that the whole thing depends upon my appropriation of the parts of Israel to bring Jacob to my father, then I will start to do it, and then my talents will run from 5 to 10 and to 20. And finally, when I have all these talents, I will be worthy of being a friend. When I have been faithful in a few things, he will make me lord over much. Then he will tell me, "I no longer call you servant, I call you friend, for you did what I commanded you. Now having done what I commanded you, you are my friend indeed." We will walk in that association for a while, communing with the deep, knowing the deep of self is my real being that men call God. I won't see him as another. I will commune with him as though he were another, and he and I will talk across that invisible state, just as though man spoke face to face with a friend. For after this invisible state, when I commune with the deep, is reached to a point of complete satisfaction, the last seal will be broken. He will break the seal and reveal me as his son, and when I see him and look into his face, he will be just like me, and I will be like him. Then you will know the mystery of the Epistle of John. Beloved, what manner of love? Just imagine what love God has bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God. And then, although at this moment that I feel it from the deep, I don't quite know what I am like or what he is like, yet I do know this much, that when I see him, I will know him. And why will I know him? Because I'll be like him. I will look right into the mirror of my own being and realize it was for that purpose that I, the Father, embodied myself as man, hoping that eventually he would awaken and become a conscious being, moving completely from a passive reflector to a conscious cooperator in my kingdom. So man gradually moves from the passive state to the active state. And the process is the servant, the friend, the son.